Okay, today we're going to take things a little bit easy and get back into our information from our note cards. So, yesterday and in the previous days, you have made your outline, so you should have that ready to go. And you wrote a thesis statement, and now yesterday you wrote the intro paragraph to your paper where you weren't allowed to use any of your cards, any of your information, no quotes, nothing. Today it's time to get back into our information a little bit. But before we can really start writing in the easiest way, we need to organize ourselves. So you've already divided up your note cards into, you had issue, you had your NPO, and you had your support. So in those three categories. Then I had you take those three categories and separate those into subgroupings. And those were your capital letters on your outlines. And glancing at your outlines, it looks like most of you have gotten that completed. If you then had a lot of cards in that letter A, capital letter category, I said divide them up into groupings again by what they have in common. So hopefully you have grouped them as far down as you can. So now what I'd like you to do is you're going to take one of those groupings. So I'm going to start with my issue cards, and I have just made myself some cards that they say issue up in the top corner because that's what you were supposed to do. They have the first word of the source, where it came from, and then these lines are my exact words, that kind of thing. So notice I have a card on the issue, and I'm going to say I had you take your cards and even add like issue letter A, because that's where it was in your outline, right? So I'm going to add that to all of my cards. Issue A, issue A, A. Okay, so now let's say that I have my cards here, and as I'm reading through my cards, I see that I have 4 cards that all are issue A stuff, and then I end up with these 2 cards that that don't really fit in with what I'm seeing here. Okay, so this is our time to really take a look at our cards, really take a look at our information and go, does this stuff fit together? So if these 4 cards all fit together really well, and then these 2 cards are either duplicates, they say the same type of thing, they're really not great information, they really don't really fit in here, take them out. Okay, we made 70 to 80 cards so that we would have some choices to be able to not just use every little bit of information we found, but to be able to be selective and choose the best information that we found. So out of my 6 cards, I found these 2 and I'm like, I really don't like that information. I'm not gonna use those. I'm going to take these. I'm not going to throw them away because I might decide later that, oh yeah, I had some information and that could fit in this category. I'm going to set them off to the side. All right, so now I have my 4 cards in issue A. Okay, so we've got our 4 cards that we know for sure that we're going to use for issue A. Now what I want you to do is to take these 4 cards and start looking at them as, how do I want to talk about these 4 ideas here? The first thing to do is read through them and just try to figure out a way that it makes sense to use these facts or statistics. As you're doing this, think about those of you that have a big statistics pile. Are there numbers that can support some of the things that you're saying here? So if something here says, it's a quote from somebody that it says that homelessness is the result of, or homelessness can be the result of people who have had medical problems or job loss or trauma that has happened in their family. Maybe that's what this card right here says. Do you have a statistic somewhere that says 13% of all people who are homeless is because of job loss. Okay, the 13% part is the statistic. Do you have something like that to support one of these statements? If you do, then put it in this pile so that you can support the statement that's being made. That will help to weed out your statistics pile so it's not just a running list of numbers, 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 but it fits in with whatever it's talking about. Okay? The other thing to do, so the first thing I want to do here is I've got 4 cards and I'm going to lay them out. So this is supposed to be like your table, your desk, wherever you are. Mine is hanging on the wall, so this is what I have to do. Okay, here's my 4 cards. I'm going to read through the information on these 4 cards and try to figure out what order I want to talk about them in. So maybe I look through this and I go, okay, this one probably makes sense to talk about first. Then I'm going to put a number 1 on that one. As I read through them, I think this one would make sense to talk about it next. So I'm going to put a number 2 on that one. Then decide which of these 2, I think this one would be next, and then this one would be the 4th thing. Now I'm going to take these and I'm just going to put them in order here. Okay, so I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. The last thing I want to do before I put my cards away for today is to decide, are any of these statements something that is super, super strong that I want to say it exactly the way that it is here? Out of the 70 or 80 cards that you made, you're only going to have 2 of these cards that you're going to write them exactly the way that it says here. It's called a direct quote. You're going to use the exact words of the source. You may only do that 2 times. All of your other cards you're going to be putting into your own words. So while you're going through your cards today and putting them in order of how you want to talk about them, ask yourself, is this something that is powerful? Is this something that I want to say it exactly like that? I think that is a powerful statement that person just made, and I want to leave it just like that. You get to choose 2 of those. If it's one of these 4, as you're looking through them, if you're like, oh yeah, that one's super powerful, that's the one. That's one that I want to use. Put a star on it and circle it so that you know that this is one of them. You can only do this twice through all of your cards. Okay? 2 times you get to choose a card that you're going to use exactly the way that it says there. You're not going to put it in your own words. When you find one that's really powerful, put a star on it so that you know that that's the one you want. As you go through this process, if you end up with 3, 4, 5 of these, you're going to have to weed it down. You're only going to be allowed to use 2 direct quotes, 2 cards that are exactly the way that they're already stated, 2 cards that you're not going to change at all. Okay? Find those 2 today, put a star on them. That was kind of hard to do backwards. Put a star on it so that you know. The next thing I'm going to do is just take my cards. I'm going to put them in order. So 3 goes on top of 4. 2. 1. And I'm going to take those cards and put them back in my folder, my expanding file folder thing. Tomorrow, when we start writing, you're going to have everything ready. So all you're going to do is pluck this out and work your way through them. Okay? So prep work today will make tomorrow really easy. Hopefully this doesn't take you a long time. Hopefully you've already kind of put things in order, but I just want you to solidify it with putting the numbers on them. And take some time today to go outside It's supposed to be a beautiful sunny day. It's supposed to rain the next 4 days. So today's your sunny day. Go outside. Have a great day. I'll see you guys tomorrow.